Hall of Fame wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. just dropped some strong words about the Arizona Cardinals, saying he can't even watch their games right now. And when it comes down to his son, Marvin Harrison Jr., he's clearly not happy with how the team is using him. Let's break down exactly what he said and what does this mean for the Arizona Cardinals moving forward. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into another video. Definitely do a huge favor, smack up that like button and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content. On this channel, we're covering the Arizona Cardinals news, breaking news, conversational pieces, everything surrounding your favorite team. So subscribe it up. It's absolutely for free. And we're on the road to 19K as well. Cannot do it without you guys. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we are going to be discussing a ESPN article that was just dropped by Josh Weinfish. Shout out to him. If you want to go ahead and read the entire article, I will be pinning it in the description of this video. Make sure you go and check it out and show ESPN some love. Really, really well put together, but it all has to deal with some comments from Marvin Harrison Sr. Yes, father of wide receiver number one, Marvin Harrison Jr., and how he can't really watch Arizona Cardinal football. And we're going to be discussing exactly what he means. And we're going to be discussing it, after we have some specific quotes that we're going to be talking about. We're not going to read the entire article, but we're going to give you some, and then we'll discuss it a little later on. But all right, everybody, let's go and dive right into it. It's a lot. So let's get started. Okay. So first things first, we want to go ahead and start off with this, where it says, "It's very hard for me to watch the Cardinals offense," Harrison Sr. told ESPN. And you can quote me on that. Marvin Harrison Sr. shared the moments with his son when he was drafted the 4th overall in 2024. But as far as watching his namesake play for the Cardinals, that is another story. A season and a half into his son's NFL career, the elder Harrison has been forced to grapple with being a former player who's the father of a current player. The balance needed to navigate that isn't always easy to find. Harrison Sr. can't help himself but to watch his son's games with the critical eye of a former player, and he wants desperately to help his son, to tell him how to fix the Arizona's issues. But Harrison Jr. is an adult, a well-compensated professional, a 4th overall pick, and Harrison Sr. knows it's time for him to sit on the sideline and watch and try to enjoy his eldest son's professional career. But it's hard. The 53-year-old Harrison Sr. is aware of how that sounds. Quote, "The style of offense that I'm accustomed to, that I'm used to watching as a professional, as a wide receiver, I can't relate to what I'm watching with this current offense. That style of offense," Harrison Sr. said, "basically, I can't relate to what's going on there." Quote, "I think that it's peacefully put without pointing any fingers or anything. It's just me. I'm giving you the professional eye. I can't relate to it. It just doesn't add up to me. I can't deal with it." End quote. Those are words that aren't new to his son. So this has been something that Marvin Harrison Sr. has been expressing to his son, Marvin Harrison Jr., even dating back to last year when he was a rookie. And let's be real, Marvin Harrison Jr. had a lot of flack and a lot of things that he could have worked on in his rookie year going into his sophomore year, and he fixed a good majority of those issues. Now, I'm not going to come out here and say that he is the next Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. I'm not coming out here to say that because we have seen some balls thrown to him right in his hands, and he's dropped it. So I'm not going to come out here and say Marvin Harrison Jr. is the end-all be-all and the best thing since sliced bread, but he's a work in progress, and we've seen some things that he needed to work on last year that he actually got better this year. So, for what it's worth, there's that. Another thing I do want to go ahead and chime in on as well as the Marvin Harrison Jr. perspective, right? And he ended up coming out and saying this on this article, that it hasn't been easy, but Marvin Harrison Jr. understands what his dad is going through. Quote, "I think our situations are different," Marvin Harrison Jr. said. "I think the era of football is different. The system, I think, to be honest with you guys, it's just like he played with Peyton Manning, obviously a Hall of Fame quarterback." Quote, "It's hard for him to watch. I think the combination of what he's used to, obviously, if you're a parent who's never played football and you see your kid playing, this is all you know. But he's been in the locker room, been in an NFL team, been in the best offense with one of the best quarterbacks of all time. So he kind of sees it all from a different perspective. I think that's what kind of makes it hard for him." End quote. It's become bad enough for Harrison Sr. that he doesn't go to games because he wants to protect his, quote, mental capacity. It doesn't bother Marvin Harrison Jr., who said he's never been someone who needs physical support at games. Despite of being disenchanted with the Cardinals offense, Harrison Sr. has stopped short of assigning blame. He doesn't want to single anyone out. That, however, hasn't limited his unhappiness. It's crazy because the unhappiness, I'm feeling too, right? As a Cardinal fan, especially in the first, part of the season where every single game, yes, was close. But if you really are I guess, a football junkie or a guy that really likes to kind of follow this team from the beginning, right, of OTAs and training camp, the draft, free agency, and all the way through basically the whole 365 of the year, you know that this team should have been better, right? Like the trajectory of this offense should have been better. This whole team in general, with all the additions that we've added on the defensive side of the ball, should have been better than the product we're seeing here on the field. And unfortunately, we have not been able to see that. So the unhappiness of what he's seen specifically on the offense, I can relate. I can relate. And that's coming from a Hall of Famer, right? That's coming from a Hall of Famer. Let's dive into this last piece. Like I said, I'm not going to read the entire article, but I wanted to go ahead and give you a few different things. And then we'll discuss here after I read this portion. So let's go ahead and talk about this. This is from the Marvin Harrison Sr. perspective. He didn't want to comment on how the Cardinals are using his son, mainly because he doesn't know what's being discussed, taught, and assigned in meetings. Quote, "What I do know is that you can put Marvin Harrison Sr. in my prime in Arizona right now, and guess what happened?" He said. "And Ohio is going to send me a prepaid envelope and said, 'Could you please send that jacket back?' So I'm not speaking for anyone. I'm speaking for me. Quote, I'm just telling you that jacket that they'd be sending a prepaid envelope. Thanks for all your help, but send that jacket back, please." So basically, what he's insinuating here is that this offense, or the way that everything's functioning, right? Offense, quarterback play, offensive line play, running back play. One single guy is not going to be able to fix all this mess that we're seeing right now with the Arizona Cardinals offense in a nutshell, right? And that's one of the main reasons why in the beginning of the season, when everybody was blaming one guy, I was one of probably the very few to saying it's not just one guy. It's an accumulation of a lot of different things that we're seeing unfold in our eyes. So even Marvin Harrison Sr., as a Hall of Fame wide receiver in the NFL, is even coming out and saying that if I was in this offense, they probably would be coming, the Hall of Fame would be calling back and say, "Hey, give me that jacket back," right? Come and give me that jacket back, because at the end of the day, it's not working out. You're not putting up the numbers that we knew that you used to put up, right? So he's kind of giving some sort of grace to his son, but also there is a level of, I guess, unhappiness when it comes down to the Arizona Cardinal offense. And I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you, right? Marvin Harrison Jr. comes out and says that, he understands that the support of not physically being there, it doesn't really bug him very much. I'm wondering, like just for my own personal, like, because when I was younger in my early 20s, I did still seek parent approval at some point, right? And I had that back of my mind. I didn't come out and say it, but in back of my mind, I did. So I'm wondering if what he's saying here is actually genuine. And he actually does want the support of his dad, right? But like, you can tell the different personalities that we're seeing here, because even in this article that's laid out, it does also mention that Marvin Harrison Sr. used to go to the front office and the coaching staff, anybody that he used to voice his, I guess, dismay or frustration, even if he had a really good game, he used to want the ball. He used to, demand the ball in his hand. Where Marvin Harrison Jr. on the other side, his dad basically said that he was a church mouse, like that he doesn't really like confrontation. He doesn't really like to ruffle feathers. Now, Marvin Harrison Jr. really kind of takes the approach of, let me show you what I can do on the field, and that's my talking, right? He's not the brash, the diva mentality. He's a really business-minded young man that's very, very well spoken and will not be throwing anybody under the bus at all. Like with what we've seen in these first 2 years, he's not Marvin Harrison Sr. And you can tell that how he's approaching things, all he's worried about is how he can get better, what he can do to separate, to get those contested catches, right? Learn on his craft and kind of let everything unfold. He's a really good quote unquote employee. He really is. He's not disgruntled. He's not really making a ruckus when not needed. That is what Marvin Harrison Jr. brings. And that's kind of one thing that I will say that I really do like from him, right? So would I like Marvin Harrison Jr. to come out here and start kind of throwing people under the bus? Well, that ruins the culture that Jonathan Gannon and all these guys in this, coaching staff was trying to build. So no, I don't. But also at the other side of the coin, I do want the ball getting thrown to him a lot more, right? So it's kind of one of those double-edged swords, but I get it, man. I get it. I can only imagine from a dad's perspective that he's had such a great career under his belt, right? Great career. And then you have your son with the amount of hype that came out from Marvin Harrison Jr. coming out of college. And he was that. He was that in Ohio State. Now going in here and transitioning into the NFL, it's a different beast, man. It really is. You got grown men that's going to be fighting you at the line. They're going to do everything they can with their physical power to get you off your route. And I do think that's one thing that Marvin Harrison Jr. needed to kind of get accustomed to. And I do feel like he gotten better from his rookie year. All the criticism that we had, we've seen some flashes. We've seen things that he's worked on in the offseason. So I will give credit to where credit is due. But is Marvin Harrison Jr. the next Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, right? As of right now, no. As of right now, no. I do think he's a really good wide receiver and he can potentially develop into being that guy. But as of right now, no. And I'm not sure if that's all him or just this offense in general. I think it's an accumulation of everything, right? I don't think he gets a fair share of targets like those number one wide receivers do, like your Jackson Smith and Jigba, Chase, Jefferson, right? Those type of guys. He doesn't get that target share like they do because of the way this offense is functioning, right? The run heavy offense and primarily in the shotgun, right? Those type of things. So, it's so fascinating to see this, but also on the other side of the coin, Marvin Harrison Sr. is basically calling out the Arizona Cardinals organization and saying, "Hey, I can't watch your football, man. Like this offense, he just doesn't understand it. He doesn't understand how how this product looks like this in year 3." Because you're right. I'm asking myself the exact same question. Does he want his son to be better than he was? Of course he does. Is Marvin Harrison Jr.'s career blossoming into what we all thought it was going to be? Maybe not to the level of the hype that we all thought it was going to, but he's still trending in the direction for him to be a really, really good wide receiver here in the NFL. We're just going to have to kind of wait and see how it all unfolds here at the end of the day. But man, this is a really good, well put together article. Like I said, I will be putting in the description below of the video below. Make sure you go and show some love on over there. We've got some other good things that I did not discuss here, but it all basically surrounds that Marvin Harrison Sr. cannot watch or go to any of these games because of just his disdain and try to hold himself back to not really say very much as a father, right? As a father of an athlete and as a father that is a Hall of Fame wide receiver in Canton. So at the end of the day, I don't blame him, but let me know everything, all your thoughts below here in the video. Let me give a real quick shout out to the sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan throughout the entirety of the 2025 season. That's going to be Sleeper. The NFL season is here, which means you now have a chance to 100 times your cash on daily fantasy football. Pick on stats for stars like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, and fantasy points, and more for up to 100 times the payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right, and you can win big. Use promo code AZSF, and you can get up to a $100 deposit match on your first initial deposit. Terms and conditions apply. Everything will be in the description below of the video. Appreciate Sleeper, proud sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan throughout the entirety of the 2025 season. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know what your overall thoughts here are in the comments below. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. And as always, go Cardinals.